is there a way that we can deal with and use the ego since it's always going to be there, as opposed to rejecting it and acting like it doesn't exist, to only have it come up sneakily?
I think the ego is a funny thing because it's just like when I talk about emotions, emotions are not you. There's your ego you, but it's more attached to this worldly experience, okay? Mm-hmm. When you rise above to this light above you that you really are, that consciousness that's aware of your ego, mm-hmm. Like you have an ego because you're observing it, that observation area, that smiling. Light, that connection, mm-hmm. Will tell you that's not you. But it was funny because remember that first recording we did, and I told you, no, we need to scrap it, mm-hmm. because when I looked at it, I saw not the information that I wanted to come through from my heart, but I saw my ego come through. Mm. And it's not such a horrible thing, but it's not where I want to come from. Mm. And that's not the place where you connect to people.
Maybe ego is like spice. And if we were all coming from the same place and we were all pure, it would be the same everywhere, but maybe a little bit of spice added to this will make it fun and delicious. Put too much hot pepper on it and it'll eat a hole in your stomach. Yeah. But put a little bit of on there and it kind of livens things up a little bit.
Yeah. Because my ego, when I was watching it, I was very sparkly and, gregarious and stuff like that. And it was very spicy, but it wasn't in sync with what I wanted to portray for the book.
Maybe your ego has to be aligned with whatever your purpose is or whatever you're trying to do, huh?
I think it's more that you have to be aware of it when it wants to come out and dance. It's like, okay, there's places for you to dance, ego,
Yeah.
But, it's not now and it's not here. Like maybe if you go to a party and you're,
maybe the party's not happening and it's all kind of dreary and dull.
Yeah. And, maybe that's the proper time to let your ego, come out and play and dance and sparkle or whatever. But if you really want to make a connection with somebody and impress somebody, you don't use your ego. But it does help keep things alive and entertaining. When someone's ego comes out, it invokes more worldly things like emotion. They're more apt to get angry. They're more apt to get worried, or they're more apt to go into those ego belief systems, that are more earthy based.
What are some signs that you're dealing with your ego when your head is so loud and it's just, that's a sign in itself probably.
That is such a great question, because when I saw the video, I was thinking, I can see my ego so clearly in this video. And when I'm coming from my heart, the answer is encapsulated and together and whole in a very clear way. And when my ego is coming out, it's almost like, the whole saying of baffle them with bullshit or dazzle them with, if you can't dazzle them with brilliance, I felt like, it's a pony show. It can keep you entertained, that aspect of myself is very entertaining, but it's not connecting, and ego is all about individuality. Look at me.
Ego wants a spotlight.
Ego wants a spotlight. It wants to be right. It wants to feel special, so there are times for that. There are times to, let your ego, be petted, like a cat and purr. You can do that. And it's actually pretty good. It feels good to have your ego petted, but you need to be aware to not let it imbalance you, and don't let it out in times like when we're interviewing about a book that I don't want the ego involved with, you know, where I want a very important message for the world to come through.
You want it to feel like
Genuine.
the light is speaking,
Yes.
not you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that the ego is not connected to the everything.
And that's the thing with quotes. Sometimes you see something from someone who's said something 2,000 years ago. You're like, wow, I've thought that same exact thing, or that speaks so much to me about my problems and things like that. It's like, that's not an egoic quote.
And why? Because spirit has no time, space, you know, it is in everything and everywhere. Where the ego is definitely here now, dancing around, you know, in your life, keeping you right here, you know.
Does that mean, sorry to interrupt, but does that mean that when you die, really it's just your ego that's dying?
The ego, this is a good question. I love it. I love the way you think, Lorcan.
Thank you.
Your ego is polishing and chipping away, because you come here to learn, right? You come here to grow. You come here to expand who you are and sharpen it, right? And that ego is a tool that you can use to define yourself. Because when I saw that video, I was like, that's the part of me that I should be, you know, more aware of. That's not really me, you know. But it can be used, because when it starts to pop up, I can be like, you know, there's an aspect of me again that is telling me something. I need to listen, right? You know, so the ego is something, it's an aspect, it's still you, it's still an aspect of you. It's what makes it in that ocean of water, right? If you were that one drop, the ego would be the thing that encapsulated that one drop of water, that outer shell, you know, that keeps you separate as an identity, you know, that's part of it, not the whole thing, but that's an aspect of it. So the tool is, you know, your ego is part of you too. It's what makes you unique. And it's what makes you special, you know, as you. I'm able to see you as you because of your ego. But also there's different facets of yourself. And when we really do the heartfelt connection, we go beyond the ego. But the ego is there polishing away, you know.
I just had this crazy vision there of you talking about that drop, and it's like almost like your life is from the cloud falling, and then you die and you reach into the ocean.
Wow.
And I wonder what that evaporation phase is.
Yeah.
And I wonder what you are as a cloud.
I have my whole theory on that one.
That was
because of what
that was a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think too, if everyone can
We're all falling together.
visualize that connectedness, you're seeing that process of the connectedness, you know, of the ocean, of the evaporation process, all that. It's so true, because if people could see that, we would see that what we do affects each other, right? What you think affects me. Maybe you may not see it directly right away, but it affects me, you know. And it not only affects me, but maybe even future generations, you know. So there is a trickle effect.
I like the idea too of, sorry if I could kind of keep going with what you started and how you did. It's like, right now we're falling drops, but we don't know what's coming. We don't know. We don't know if we're gonna hit a piece of concrete and just, you know, or something like that, or land in the ocean or river. We don't know, and then we don't know what's gonna happen after. But you know, so maybe we can't understand certain things. That's the thing I was thinking too. Is like, but maybe just know that, you know, like when you're dropping, it's okay. Just trust that this is all meant to be, and you know, and something good's gonna happen beyond that. And
because it's all part of the water cycle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Eventually, it's going to end up.
Yeah.
You'll be in a toilet at one part.
Yeah. But
then you'll be in a beautiful in the Swiss Alps.
you'll be
somewhere.
evaporated. You'll be separated from all the other stuff, and then you'll be back. And
Yeah.
then you can do it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.